Hello and welcome back to Chair Yoga Plus. In this series of practices this month, I've been talking about using props. The only prop you absolutely need in Chair Yoga Plus is your chair. A nice, steady, firm chair that we can sit and stand and use for stability. But sometimes we want to do something a little different. In my first video, I used the blocks. In this video, I'm using my trusted blanket. This is what they call a Mexican blanket. It's heavy and it's a tight woven heavy yarn. I like it because of its heaviness, but any blanket will do. Any thickness will do. And the first thing we're going to use the blanket for is for anchoring or grounding the feet. So it's best here today to practice without your shoes on so that you can feel the softness, the warmth that the blanket provides. More importantly, instead of pressing downward through the feet into the floor, let's lift upwards. Feel the lightness of the feet on the blanket and draw your energy up the spine all the way to the crown of the head. Let's roll those shoulders down our back and maybe glance down or close your eyes for a moment and get in touch with how you're breathing. With your eyes closed, you might even have an heightened awareness of the softness of the blanket. And you might sense that the feet are floating on the blanket. Instead of pushing down and heavy, the body becomes light. You can make the body even lighter by squeezing in through the core a little bit, the glutes, the abs, maybe even drawing energy between the legs towards each other without moving the legs. And then flutter your eyes open. And let's take another breath here, and this time bring the arms up overhead. Turn the fingers out and wiggle them as they rain down on the sides of the body. Keeping the hands down, let's lower one hand and come back to center and lower the other. And notice how this off balance from side to side is felt in the feet. And maybe in the hips and the shoulders. Maybe you feel the spine moving side to side, or the ribs. Just building that awareness. Come center, inhale again, and once again, rain the fingers down gently back to your side, mountain in the chair. Roll your shoulders forward. And then roll them back and down. And when you roll them back and down, draw the belly in a little, sit a little taller. Grow the spine in all directions. And then rest the hands on your thighs and lift one foot and gently lower it back to the blanket, other side. Notice the texture of the blanket against the bottom of the feet. Now, if you got shoes on, you won't notice that, but perhaps you'll notice the softness that you're landing on. And then come to stillness once again. Rock the hips side to side. Make sure you're 3/4 of the way in your chair so that the thighs are somewhat supported here. Come back to center. Let's turn the head from side to side. Moving through the joints of the neck, spine, upper spine. And then come center again. And let's make a circle with our nose. And go in the other direction. And come center once again, hands at your side. Lift through the sternum here and draw the ribs towards midline. Take a nice breath. holding your posture here. Exhale. And then place your hands on your hips, lift one ankle and circle. Circle in the other direction. And then lower it down other side. And reverse that. And then lower that down. Now we're going to step to the side where there is no blanket, and we're going to turn to the side of the chair here. And then you can step the other foot back, or you could keep it on the blanket. I'm going to step mine back and sit tall, bringing the arms up if you want into our lunge. And stay here, and once again, heavy hips in the chair, heart lifting, spine growing a little longer. And then bring the arms down and lean out over that leg. Nice neutral back here. Draw the shoulders back just a little. And then round, tuck your chin. And round all the way up. Let's do it again. Lowering the heart towards the knee. Little engagement in the shoulders. And then cat, round it up. Again. And then sitting tall, we turn once again. Now this time my feet are off the blanket, but I use the blanket for the distance that I want my feet. So normally I might step just a little bit. Today the blanket gives me a guide to step a little wider. And we'll drop one shoulder center and then the other. One more time on each side. This time hold it. Tuck the chin a little and let that energy rise up through the spine, through the crown of the head. You may not notice any difference, or maybe you notice that your nose goes a little forward. And then round it up, and let's do it on the other side. We drop the shoulder first, make sure we're comfortable with that. And then again, let that energy rise from the tailbone through the crown. Maybe the nose comes forward a little. The eyes stay down, chin tucked. And then tuck your chin and round up. And then step back onto your blanket here and rock side to side. Excuse me. So let's take the hands out to the side and reach from side to side, rocking your hips in the chair. And just notice how that feels in your feet. And then bring the arms down, bring them up in the front. And as they come out to the side and down, pause at that T mark and then release them. So it's inhale, exhale. Inhale as the hands reach in opposite directions, and then exhale them down. One more time. That little pause right here, and exhale down. Lift one knee and then lift the other. Working through the hips here, gently lowering the foot to that nice comfortable blanket. And then we'll get the hands involved. So this time as they come down, we hold behind the knee, draw it in, and release it and lower it down. Other side. And here again, you might want to think about drawing the knee not straight up towards the belly button, but a little off towards the side, towards your shoulder, and lower it down. Give it a try. One more time on each side. And then pause. And see how the energy feels in your body now. We'll take a little twist here. So we'll take both hands. Take a few breaths here, and then we'll come around to the front and do it on the other side. So we turn in that direction, keeping the spine long. Look over our shoulder. And then come on back to center. Step your feet off the blanket on either side. This gives you a nice stretch in the inner thighs, and maybe it's a little wider than you're used to, and that might be a good thing. And we'll drop the shoulder into the center and lift. Other side. So we're just feeling out here how this feels in our lower back, side ribs, and maybe even a little in the hip. Go only as far as is comfortable for you. The blanket here is just providing a guide to keep the feet wide and keep the knees out over the toes. So now we're going to come down, hold, look at the floor, and then think about that energy once again through the crown of the head. And then round and come up, take it to the other side. Tuck and round and come up. So now we're going to step to the other side of the chair, coming into that lunge position. So this outer leg, the knee goes straight down. I'm on the ball of the back foot, and the whole foot in front is on the floor. Now, if you want, and your foot doesn't reach the floor, great use of that blanket. So I'll use the blanket on this side, and we'll hold our lunge pose here, drawing the energy up and in. And then lower the hands and lean out over that leg. And then round up. Sitting tall again. Again, keeping the back neutral. We lower our chest towards the thigh and round up. Taking our time. Exhaling here. Inhaling and rounding up. Great. Let's step to the front. Now you can rock side to side and just find your evenness in the chair. I'm going to take the blanket now and put it in the chair. And I want the folded part of the blanket right about the middle of my chair, or even back a little bit. Now my blanket's kind of thick, so it goes up the back of the chair, but that's not going to affect my practice because I'm not going to be leaning back into the chair. So I invite you to sit tall here too. And you want to sit with the sit bones right on the edge of that blanket. And you're going to notice that it tilts your pelvic forward. Just see how that feels. That's just a gentle back bend. And if it's uncomfortable, take the blanket out. Remember, these are models for you today on how to use the props. They're not necessary. The only prop you absolutely need in chair yoga is your trusted chair. So from here, we're going to place our hands on our hips and lift one knee and then lift the other. Notice if this changes how your hip feels when you lift the knee, because now the hips are a little elevated. And then bringing the hands down into mountain. Inhale the hands up, and as they come down, we're going to lift one knee and hold behind that knee and draw it inward towards our body. Now you want to draw it not towards the belly button, but towards the shoulder. And then lower it carefully down. Other side. Pulling it in gently and slowly and lowering it down. Now how high you lift it could be just here, and that's your range of motion. And as you practice more and more, you start to notice, I can lift that a little higher today. That comes from constant steady practice. And that's part of the teachings in yoga, is that we accept what is in the moment. We be in the moment and we do what we can in this moment. But we also continue to practice whatever it is we're doing so that we have that constant challenge to the body in a very gentle way. Both feet on the floor, shoulders down your back. Let's round into cat. Inhale into our mountain pose here, shoulders down your back. And now I'm going to extend one foot and the other so they're a little bit away from the chair. And I'm going to slide the hands towards the knees and tilt the pelvic towards the thighs. And then come up. So now I'm not rounding up, but keeping the back in its natural position, using the core muscles here. Next one we're going to hold. And if it's within your range, take the hands below the knees, pressing into the shins or the sides of the legs. And then come up. So now you can see how we've extended our forward fold a little bit more, using the support of the blanket under the hip to support that pelvic tilt. One more. Hold here. And then round and come up and walk those feet back and in. How are we doing? Next up, I'm going to take the blanket and I'm going to drape it over the back of the chair. This is going to provide a soft place for my spine to lean into. And I want to lean the hips into it and the back, the upper back and the shoulders. And sitting tall here. Now I'm almost completely in my chair. I could use another blanket under my feet here. So 2 blankets, maybe. Not a bad thing. And we sit tall. And we just notice sitting tall can be work. Keep the head forward, chin slightly tucked. And then release that and move away from the blanket now so that the blanket's just back there. And we're going to sit tall here and take one leg out to the side. Now here again, you could move the blanket. I could probably use it under this front foot. So that's what I'm going to do. Place that blanket right underneath my foot again. We're staying in the chair here today using the blanket. Other foot extends out for gate pose. This knee right over the ankle, and we can rest our hand here above the knee or on the chair. So today I'm going to use the chair. Sit tall. And then lean towards that leg and feel that wonderful stretch in the inner thigh. Don't go too far. Keep the head in line with the sternum instead of dropping it down. And maybe take the other arm straight up for a little more stretch on the opposite side. And sometimes in gate, we lean over and deepen that side stretch. Again, keep the head somewhat lifted. Hold here and take a few breaths. And then use that top hand to lift you, release it down. Step this foot in carefully. And we'll do it on the other side. Extend the other leg out to the side. I'm off my mat here a little bit, so I can see my blanket is shedding a little bit, so we'll take care of that later. Foot on the floor, sitting tall, hand on the thigh, or for me today, on the side of the chair. Shoulders back. Just see how this feels first, because you're going to feel a nice little pull in the inner thigh. Other arm can come up. Now we're stretching in the opposite ribs as we lean out over that leg, keeping the head in line with the sternum. So there's a little work there, a little mindfulness of what we're doing. And take a few more breaths here. And then bring that top hand up, sit tall, release the pose, and step it back in. Now, another use for our blanket in yoga is to add a little weight. Excuse me. So here I have it on my lap so that my arms are resting on the blanket, and I can feel that little bit of weight in my thighs. Sometimes you might see advertised these weighted blankets for our Shavasana, and they're beneficial too. You don't need to buy something like that, though. You could use what you have around the house, but be aware of how it feels in your lap and allow the body to soften underneath the blanket. Feel that release of the muscles in the upper leg. Now, if we were in Hatha Yoga on the mat, we might even cover our whole body with the blanket. So you could open up your blanket in the chair, bring it in, and then just kind of put your toes on the edge of it so the feet stay warm. And you could bring it up around your waist or cover up your whole shoulders. And then sit and breathe here and see how that feels. There's a little work here now because we brought the blanket up onto our shoulders. Our spine has to work. So make sure you're drawing the belly muscles in and up a little bit, squeezing the glutes a little bit, shoulders down your back, so that you feel like the bones of the body are supporting you here by lining them up and feeling that wonderful support that Mother Nature has provided us. Take another breath. Maybe close the eyes so you can really get into that sensation of the blanket on the body. And of course, if this is uncomfortable or you're struggling to hold that blanket up there, just let it go. And you can stay here as long as you want. I'm going to open my eyes and I'm going to carefully remove my feet off the blanket and put it to the side and close out class here today. Make sure you move that blanket to the side so you don't get it caught in your toes. Bring the hands to the heart, elbows out to the side as we bow towards our body for its fabulous work today. So there you have it, how to use the blanket even in chair yoga, working with it to support the feet primarily, but to tilt the pelvic muscles also is a good use of that. And of course, in Shavasana to cover up. Give those a try during your practices. Have your blanket handy. And let me know how you like using the blanket in your practice. And stay tuned for the next video where we'll talk about another prop that you might have around the house that'll enhance your practice of yoga. Have a great day.